To be very honest, it all depends on your context. In your rural areas, I don't think interracial marriages will work. In other words, if you go into your rural black areas, I don't think, I think the people would really struggle to accept black-white marriage. And I would say the same thing if in your traditional Afrikaans suburbs as well. People will still struggle to accept a interracial marriage. But I think in your cosmopolitan, let's say in Johannesburg per se, I think people there are much more chilled about these type of things. They understand that marriage is not about color. It's about love. It's about respect. It's about supporting each other. And I think that is why we understand that you can move past it. If you meet your soulmate, and that person happens to be another color, it doesn't matter anymore in certain areas in South Africa. But unfortunately, I would really say in certain areas in South Africa, the people are still very close-minded. I will not accept something like that. And maybe those people even be open for discrimination and stuff like that. But we need to encourage more the embracement of interracial marriages.
All right. Now, would you say that an offspring or a child of two people from racial background, would you say that that child has more of a chance of eradicating the whole racial crisis than someone who's born, with two black or two white parents?
Okay. To ask me something like that, it's almost to ask that, will the child of two sober people eradicate the drug problem? I don't think that having children from interracial marriages will per se eradicate the racial problem. I don't think that's the racial problem lies with blacks and whites. It lies with people not understanding each other. It doesn't lie with children of the offspring of maybe interracial marriages. I think black people and white people need to come together, talk about the hot things. I mean, it's easy to tolerate each other and then sit down and say, okay, well, I have black friends, I have white friends and stuff like that. But you don't talk to each other. You don't say, listen here, but yesterday my mother was hijacked by a black person. Or you can say, well, my father was beaten by white people when he was younger. And just talk about those things that really are the hot topics and try to understand each other's where we come from. I think that will eradicate the racial problem, not necessarily offspring of interracial marriages. Yeah, what happens when the people where whites are with whites and blacks are with blacks?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
What would you say?
Yeah, what do I know happened? I mean, I'm a white guy, I've got white friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what happens when a similar culture comes together, then they talk about other cultures. I mean, it invariably happens. And unfortunately, sometimes you do get racial jokes happening. You get blacks talking about whites in a degrading way. You get whites talking about blacks in a degrading way. But I would really say, I think it's time that your real cosmopolitan people, when you get into a conversation like that, then you just can stand up and say, okay, well, it's easy talking about making jokes, but when it really gets nasty, you can just tell people, listen, yeah, I've got really good friends that is black. Please don't speak of blacks in that type of way. You don't know what's going on. So yes, I think sometimes people, because they're very hypocritical, they say, peace and everything. When they get to university, go to black people class, tolerate them and stuff like that. But when they go back, having a braai, having some beers, oh yes, and then stuff can go really pear-shaped. And that's what we need to work on. So yes, it does happen. It does happen, I think, in every culture.